Walsh Trading is located right there on the trade floor in Chicago. And Scott Gecas is here with us to talk about. Scott, just before we went on the air here, I was listening. It sounds pretty quiet there at the trade today.
Yeah, it's really quiet. You know, the main thing that we're focusing on with the corn and wheat, or corn and soybeans in particular, are pod weights and ear weights. You know, so we have, there's still, the yields are still in question. We're seeing what's going to happen if those yields are going to be estimated a little bit lower than what was coming out for the last report. So we're going to keep an eye on that. You know, as far as the cattle go, cash is firming up a little bit, so that's a little bit supportive. Not really showing that too much in the market today. And as far as the hog complex goes, the African swine fever is still spreading, still uncontrolled. However, the trade war talks have given it a little bit of a support into it. But if you just go off of fundamentals and supply and demand, there's much more demand than supply. Just haven't seen that exports show up, even though that China still continues to have strong imports. August was the second highest imports on record, but the weekly exports are a little bit light. So you're seeing two-sided action both ways. We expect a little bit of bump up in the further out months, the deferred months for hogs, but right now it's pretty much trading sideways, waiting for some definitive news coming out with the trade war talks. Positive that they are coming out and visiting farms, but just as I was walking up, Trump also just came out and said that he's not really pressing a trade deal before the election, so that's a strategic campaign move as expected, so we're going to have to wait and see what the headlines reaction is going to be.
Scott, here just a little bit ago, Janet Atkinson was reporting on the fact of one of the stories here that Chinese are going to be in town, just as you mentioned. Is the trade putting a lot of stock into that at this point, or are they still kind of the belief that, hey, we've been down this road before, we've gotten our hopes up before, we're still going to just wait and see at this point to see if anything positive? Or do they already have a preconceived notion of what they would think would be positive news from trade talks?
Well, there's a couple things deciding that right now. So if we go over past and the trade war talks say positive, then 2 days later it comes out and says we're withdrawing it. And so, but this is the first time, this is a little bit different than what has happened in the past, only because they're actually coming here face to face, visiting the farms, but like I said, just coming out as right now, as I was walking up, Trump says there's no, urgency to get a trade war done before the election. So, I mean, it's going back and forth. No one really has any idea. They were a lot more optimistic with these trade war talks. But after the last statement, I think everyone's going to be in a wait-and-see mode.
Scott, I know that you watch the technicals and the charts a lot in all of this. So where does that leave that? Can we lean back now on these technical signals in these markets, in the protein complex, for direction?
Well, you would, in theory, yes. But even though the fundamentals and the technicals match up one way or the other, it just takes one tweet to completely blow it out of the water.
Interesting. All right. Any other thoughts then? We had the Fed reduce the interest rates by 0.25% earlier in the week. Is this a sign that maybe the economy is still going to chug along at this point, and maybe a lot of consumers will still go to the grocery store and spend a little extra money and buy the nicer cuts of beef and pork?
Well, the Fed interest, I mean, that's a completely different soap opera. So right before, a few hours before they cut the rates, they had about $123 billion into the overnight rate funding with the interbank rate. They're continuing to pump money into that as well. So when they cut the rates, the interesting thing to me was you look at all the mortgage rates actually went higher, even though the Fed cut the rates. So you're seeing all kinds of different things. It's a completely different topic, completely different soap opera, rather than what the typical market is going to look at.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for pointing that out. I was unaware of that. Scott Gecas, Walsh Trading here with us. Let's look at the futures real quick over here in the livestock.